going to be talking to you only 10 minutes on at least my view of the industry, which may be very biased. I've been a stockbroker, investment banker, private equity guys for 25 years, and I joined ACCOR as a director, board member for 10 years, and as a new CEO for the last 3 years. My job is to wake up a sleeping giant. And when you want to wake up someone, you just have to actually understand what are you facing. I mean, where are we in the hospitality sector? What is it that we've missed? What is it that we should be doing, and how to do it, and obviously what time frame. So let's start with diagnostic, which is actually not too nice for the big hotel players, including ACCOR, by the way, and including me as a board member, because I should have seen it, and I did not see it either. We are, and you guys talked about it, we are in a blessed industry. There's not that many industries growing at a 5% per annum for the last 10 years, likely to grow the same 4 to 5% per annum for the next 10 years globally, where supply across the globe is probably maximum 2% per annum of new hotel rooms. So having such a visibility on demand and supply, very rare. Which is why Airbnb exists. Because they understand there's probably not enough growth in supply, and they can probably fuel demand. And if you look at the last 15 years, 17 years, what happened to us? From the 1960s, which is basically the creation of all the big animals, the Intercon, the Hilton, the Marriott, the Starwood, the ACCOR, for 40 years, we had nobody to compete really against, except the four fabulous. And we enjoyed a wonderful growth between 1960s to 2000. And each of us in our own respective market, ACCOR being very different because ACCOR is non-US until like a year ago with Fairmont Raffles. And in the years of 2000, we've been facing now 3 digital revolutions of way different nature. The first, we call them the innovators. Booking, Expedia, what have they done? They just invented a new technology, better efficiency, better speed, which was basically combating against American Express travel, Carlson Valley travel, and basically offering a better engine online for the same commission, at the time 10%. And did we move? Us, the Hyatt, ACCOR of the world? Of course we did not. We actually felt it was a great thing, because we probably would be enhancing the relationship with our customers. But we did not really act, and we probably felt it would be anecdotal. 5 years after, MetaSearch, all the Kayak, Trivago, TripAdvisors, recommendation site. Did we move? Of course not. We looked at it and we said it's going to be great for the client, they're going to have a better choice. 6 years ago, sharing economy, private rentals, Airbnb, Uber. Those guys are very different from the first 2 revolutions because those guys are disruptors. They are attacking my business. Have we moved? Of course not. So when you look at it today, in 2016, what are you facing? Up until 2000, it was so easy. You had a cake, which was all the value added in the hospitality sector. 90% of the value added was in the hands of the hoteliers, 10% in the hands of the traditional travel agent. The same cake today. Traditional travel agent went down from 10% to 5%. I went down from 90% to 70%. All those new digital players today probably have 25% of the cake. I can bet you that if you have the same pie in the next probably 5 to 7 years, I will be down to 50%, and it will be from 25 to 40%, undoubtedly. So then you say to yourself, well, 50% may be good enough because I am in a blessed industry, and I'm still going to be growing. Or you say to yourself, well, that is not good enough. I want to participate in the growth of that 25 to 40% market share, which means I need to enter the digital space. And then you ask yourself another question. How should I compete with those guys? How different are they from traditional companies like mine? Well, that's obvious. They have 5 things in common. The first thing in common, which is frightening, 90% of all those companies that got created and survived have been created by less than 35 years old men and women. Second thing, 90% of those companies got created on a blank sheet of paper. No legacy, no history, no process. Third, 90% of them are based on the new technology, better than the existing one in the traditional industries. Fourth, 90% of them have accepted from day one that their audience is the world, not the city, not the country they live in. Speed and scale matters. 5, 90% of them are based on a flat, horizontal organization. Now let's look at the 5 and compare it to me and to the big guys. On item number 1, 90% of the hotel companies are run by over 50 years old gentlemen. Number 2, 90% of us have 40, 50, 30 years of history. ACCOR has 240,000 people in 95 countries. I cannot start with a blank sheet of paper. I don't have the same agility. 3, technology, we have it. It's actually a pretty good one, except we spend 1/10 of what they spend every year, so difficult to catch up. 4th, this is probably where we are the best place, is we have scale. We are already in 95 countries, so at least if we have good thinking, we can display it. 5th is the worst. All our companies are vertical, pyramidal, hierarchy. Whomever has a 25 years of history run the business. And we have this scarcity relationship where whomever has a secret is going to be keeping his secret because it gives him power. Where in the digital space, whomever has a secret is going to share the secret because it's going to be producing a new idea. So if you want to compete, you better adjust yourself to those 5 criteria. The first one is nothing much you can do about it, except one thing which we decided last December, where we have co-created a shadow executive committee. I've told my 14 executive members, I said, guys, I give you 4 days. In 4 days, you give me the 2 best millennials, women and boy, in your own organization, and I want to replicate my same executive committee with those millennials. So out of the 26, 13 female, 13 males, we selected 13 to mirror image my own executive committee. And from the last 9 months, 100% of all the confidential information that I have at my disposal is shared with those 13 millennial shadow executive committee members. All the 100% of my monthly executive meeting agenda is dealt, looked upon, shared with that shadow executive committee, and no decision is being made for the last 9 months without first listening to which direction those guys would have been going on the same items. I.e., you first listen to what they have to tell you, and then you act. Why? They're not smarter than we are. Anybody at 55, which I am, could have a millennial mindset. Of course we can. But there's one big difference. Anybody who's in between these 25 to 35 years of age have a much better predictability on the future. Probably 10 to 50 times better than mine. Why? Because my generation, we're being only motivated by one thing, which is true for the hotel industry, by the way. We're being brand, product minded. Which is why you have the Crown Plaza, Sheraton, Novotel, Hampton Inn. It's all of the same room in all different cities. Because we were dogmatic, because we felt we knew better. And we've been replicating those brands all over. Well, the clients tell you today, they're sick of it. They want to have a different experience, and they want to live like the locals. And all those digital companies are not brand product centric, they are client centric. For the last 2 centuries, we've been inside thinking to outside producing. Those guys are doing the reverse. They outside thinkers and then the inside produce. It's a 180-degree shift. What else do they have in common? Is at the end of the day, they have multiple touch points with their clients. I see my clients maybe 2 or 3 times a year. They have interface with their clients 2 or 3 times a week. Facebook has it 7 times a day in India, 3 times a day in France. The name of the industry is you need to go through client centricity, customer journey, multiplying touch points, being an innovator, and go outside of your zone of comfort, which is why you've seen ACCOR going into a private sharing economy with one fine day. You've seen us going into a marketplace with independent affiliates. We went into digital concierge. My job is to make sure that in the next 5 years, a third of ACCOR business is going to be made of day-to-day services for the travelers, for the urban population, jobs we've never done over the last 50 years. New product, new services, new interface, new touch points. And those who are going to be daring getting into this field is going to survive. Those who are going to feel that it gets what we've done, but for the last 50 years going to be continuing being the same, are going to die